So Stefan, so can you tell me why you chose the SEO path? Like, is it a passion project? Like you mentioned that you did websites, but you ditched the websites and continued with SEO. What was the reason for that?
Well, I didn't actually ditch website development altogether. We did still build out websites, but it was a relatively small part of our business, really mostly around SEO consulting. And the reason why I was so jazzed by SEO is it was an algorithm that I could kind of reverse engineer. I loved trying to figure out how Google worked, like poke and prod at the black box. And I figured out a lot of really cool stuff just tinkering on my own. And yeah, I just wanted to further leverage that, monetize that, and not just do a commodity business of building people's e-commerce websites.
Would you say though, because to me SEO is like it's so technical and it's so difficult, and there's so many things in Google's algorithm to rank a website. Like, why did you have a passion for doing the most difficult thing? Like, what were you like at school? Did you have like a interest in data and things like that?
I actually taught myself how to program as a little kid, so I was really geeky. Yeah, I taught myself BASIC. I wrote my own bulletin board system in BASIC back in before there were websites and all that. This was in the 80s. I wrote a BBS and ran it on my home phone line, much to the chagrin of my mother. She'd pick up the phone and she'd hear the sound of a modem. Somebody had dialed into my BBS. I also coded in assembly language. So I actually, would type in hexadecimal in code in assembly language. So that was pretty wild. And then I got so, I don't know, socially awkward, geeky, nerdy that I was having trouble making non-nerd friends. So I decided to just go cold turkey. I sold my Commodore 64 and gave away all my software that I had accumulated and just joined the track team, cycling club, cross country team, and just started becoming more of a athlete and normal. And then I didn't get back into computers really heavily until I was in graduate school studying for that PhD in biochemistry and building a couple of websites on the side as passion projects. And that's when I realized that I could really make a go with this as a business. It actually was when I met Rob McCool at a conference called the Second International World Wide Web Conference. He's the guy who invented Apache that runs most web servers on the internet.
Wow,
Yeah. Yeah. So when
that's
he told me
amazing.
about Netscape, which I had never heard of because everybody's running Mosaic browser at the time, and I also heard Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, give the keynote presentation. I was just enamored by it all. And I realized that I was not going to make a big pile of money continuing my career path of biochemistry and becoming a professor and all that. So I just
Was it?
ditched it all.
That's amazing. Was it hard to go from like an employee to running your own business? Like, how was that leap?
Yeah, well, it's an even bigger leap when you consider I wasn't really an employee. I was a student
Yeah,
who
right.
had a job in relation to that. Yeah, it's called a teacher's assistant or a research assistant, where you get paid a stipend, which isn't enough to live on, so you still have to take out student loans. So you get paid a little bit of money, but they expect unrealistic amounts of time and effort from you. I had young children at the time, and my advisor was expecting me to stay at the lab till all hours of the evening, and he'd get angry with me when I'd leave at 6 p.m. So we had to run in, and he kind of asked me to leave and start over again in a different lab. And so that was the push that like where I decided, okay, this is it. I'm not actually going to continue down this path. I'm going to drop out and start a business.
And
Yeah.
was it hard to, like when you started your business? Did you think, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah, it was hard because I had never gotten any training in marketing or business or entrepreneurship or anything. All my classes were in like the sciences, hardcore sciences.
And today, like you've got an amazing business. So how did you learn all that? Did you just like read books and study? Because back then they wouldn't have had webinars or online training courses.
Yeah.
How did you learn all that?
I learned from books and from just reading on websites and just trying things, experimenting. I'm a tinkerer.
Yeah,
I love trying to figure stuff out on my own. I never read the manual. I just try and put the pieces together and make it work.
that is awesome. And I guess that stems back to the childhood where you're building your own, doing your own coding and things like that. That's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, even when I was a kid, like I was, I think 17 years old, a car for $65. I bought it from a friend in school who yard, and I had to find an alternator. I found an alternator at the junkyard from the same make and model and year car, and I figured out how to replace it, take it out of the junked car, put it in the car I just bought. So I like for next to nothing, I had a car that ran.
Wow.
It's pretty wild. So I love figuring that sort of stuff out.
That's
Like I
amazing.
said, I'm a
And you
tinkerer.
figured out your business. And so what does your business look like today? As in like how many people do you have? And I mean you don't have to disclose your income, but yeah, what sort of level is it at these days?
Yeah, well, it's a seven-figure business. I have 3 employees. I have four or five contractors. Then I use some different vendors as well. So I've got some agencies and smaller businesses that help assist me as well as individual contractors and employees. My profit is pretty high for a business like mine. It's like 60
That's amazing.
some percent.
You work from
which
home,
is,
yeah? You have a remote
pretty
team?
good. Yeah, I work from home. Yeah, I have a remote team. I've always had a remote team ever since I sold my previous
Yeah.
agency.
I did the same thing. To me, it was the best choice ever going from bricks and mortar agency to, yeah, working from home and the whole team works from home. So it's obviously more profitable. And you find, you're creating a better life for your employees. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And for yourself.
Well, most important is the better life for me. Like one thing I found when I had the agency and had offices in the U.S. and in New Zealand, and then we had a China office as well, is that if I were to not come into the office, I would be way more productive. I wouldn't get the door knocks, like, hey, you got a minute? All these stupid got a minute meetings because they're too lazy to save up all their questions for one longer meeting once a week. And it was just a productivity drain on me. It would knock me out of my flow state. So I just work from home more often, and then people would feel resentful because they're in first thing in the morning and the boss isn't there. Many days he doesn't even come in. Like I have a management team. I had a CFO. I had a chief operations officer and so forth as well. So it's not like it was a well-running machine that I'm sure bred some resentment because the head honcho wasn't even in the office. When I lived in New Zealand, and then 4 years into it, we just, my wife at the time and I decided to move to Christchurch. There was no office there, and I would only come into the office in Auckland maybe once every couple months for a day or something, a day or two max. So I became a remote worker of my own business, and it was hugely freeing. I actually took not long thereafter, a 5-month sabbatical from my business, completely checked out of the business. I think I did one speaking gig during that time, and I didn't check email at all. I was totally unavailable other than that one speaking gig. That was awesome. It brought me back.
That's a real achievement. Yeah, most business owners want to go into business to have that freedom, but completely go the opposite direction and end up working more. So well done for that. And so that leads me to, you just mentioned speaking, right? So how do you market your business these days? Is it mainly from speaking gigs or what else do you do?
Yeah, mainly from speaking gigs. I also get a lot of referrals. I'm also on the Moz recommended list, which is no small feat to be on. But I was kind of a shoe-in because the Moz founder, Rand Fishkin, is my co-author on The Art of SEO on the first 2 editions, at least. So that was very helpful to get on Moz's radar, of course. But, it's like those things generate a fair amount of business. Also, I write for search engine land. I contribute also to Ad Week, and I just recently contributed for the first time to Harvard
Yeah,
Business
that's
Review.
amazing.
So speaking, writing, secondarily, also referrals. One thing that really was very instructive for me was creating a spreadsheet of all of the different marketing weapons, all the speaking gigs, all the conferences that I don't even speak at, but still attend, masterminds I'm in, campaigns that ad campaigns and stuff. We did a full page ad in Internet Retailer magazine, all these different things. I wasn't tracking what the revenue was from each of those. Now we do that, and we went retroactively back through the last 4 years. So I know every single conference that I've spoken at, that I've attended, everything that we spend money on to market the business, and where the revenue comes from. So that has been hugely insightful. There are conferences that I no longer speak at, even though I enjoy going to them, because it's not worth it in terms of the revenue. It doesn't generate anything for me. I've done, there's one conference in particular I'm thinking of that has generated no money for me in 4 years of speaking every year. It's a lot of fun. It's a huge event, but for whatever reason, it's not my audience. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
a
really
really good
helpful.
tip then, absolutely, for anybody that is, trying to do speaking here and there or whatever means of marketing. You really have to measure it to see what sort of return you're getting on that investment. But one thing that I do like about the fact that you are speaking and you're writing for all these publications is you're leading with value, right? You're not asking for anything in return. You're just putting extremely valuable, like your years of knowledge is getting out there into all these publications and on stage. And so that's obviously the reciprocity principle, which we teach people to have on their website, lead with value as well. But yeah, I think it's important that you do
Yeah.
measure it and you work out what's working and what's not. Do you do any online marketing, or do you have any other, like obviously you do consulting and coaching for SEO, but what about courses or any other sort of money making products?
Yeah, so actually, I want to go back to that previous
Yeah,
question for a minute and say
go for it.
something else about it, because I absolutely concur about leading with value. Give first, then get. The problem that you end up, though, with is if you just give, you'll end up with a bunch of takers.
Yes, a lot of
And they're
bloggers
not
have
going to
that
pay.
issue.
Yeah, so you end up sharing all your gold with folks and not getting anything in return. And it really needs to be a give and take, right? There
Absolutely.
needs to be some back and forth. So lead with the value. This was a mistake I was making. I was giving so much away on my sales calls that they would have a ton of things to implement in a 1 hour call, and then they wouldn't need to close a deal with me. They wouldn't need to sign a contract because they've already got a big pile of things to work on. It was very helpful. Thank you so much, Stephan. This was invaluable. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
But no money,
but no money.
no contract,
Yeah.
right? So there's a balance. You gotta strike a balance.
Yeah, which is easier said than done when you're giving by nature. So, and what was it what did you do? Just stop giving away so much? Did you catch yourself going, oh, maybe I should, give too much away? I want them to hire my services.
Well, I got some coaching from James Schramko, and he listened to a couple of my sales calls, and he's like, "Yeah, you're just educating them.
Yeah.
You're not letting them come to the conclusion that they need to work with you. You're not selling, so you got to sell on a sales call." And so I've changed the structure so it's not so much about the how-to, but more about the what. So if I point out issues that they're having and say, well, here is something you probably didn't know, but you have very little trust according to Majestic or according to link research tools, and that equates to much lower rankings and da 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 da. And so that accentuates the pain, or maybe they didn't even know they had pain. They just like, oh, wow, this is another box I got to tick off. I got to do SEO.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, this is costing me serious money. So focus on the what, give them lots of value in that regard, but don't give them the how-to. Don't show them how to do it, how to fix
Yeah.
the problem. Just show them they have a big problem. Big difference
Yeah,
there.
that's a great tip. And what about though if they're not a good fit at all? Like, do you have a vetting process before you jump on that call, that long call?
Yeah, I do. I have my head VA do the kind of screening process. The prospect has to fill out a short questionnaire, and then she reviews that. She then decides to let them book a time on my calendar. Then I'll have a call. Sometimes it works better if the calls are shorter, like a 15-minute kind of
Yeah.
laser call rather than a full 30 minutes. But if it's a really big
Yeah.
lead, some multinational corporate, then, a 30-minute or even hour-long call is certainly appropriate. There's something else I was going to share about this too. Oh yeah, we've built an appointment funnel. So we got
Appointment funnel. Tell us about that.
yeah, so that's we built that out in Infusionsoft. This is my team, of course. I don't think I've logged into Infusionsoft in probably a year myself. Probably not something to be proud of, but anyways, I just leave it to my team to figure all this stuff out. So we've got this appointment funnel where, like I said, they have to fill out a questionnaire. There's a 2-part questionnaire. So you want to ask for as few questions as possible to get them to supply their email address so that we can continue the conversation. We don't want them to get bogged down with like, okay, here's 20 questions and 15 of them are required, right? Because then they won't fill it out at all, and I may never hear from them. If it's like 4 questions and one of them is, what is your email? Then if they don't complete the part 2 questionnaire, then we start sending them reminder emails.
Perfect. I love that.
So that's part of the funnel.
Yeah, nice.
And they have to fill out the part 2 questionnaire, which asks things like, are you doing Google ads and how much is your spend on Google ads? Because that's a great indicator of whether they have budget for SEO.
Yeah, nice.
And after they fill out that part 2 of the questionnaire, then they get to the next stage of the funnel with approval from my head VA to then book a call time in my scheduler, which I use Acuity scheduling. I used to use
Schedule Once.
Schedule Once, yeah, which is now Once
Hub. Yeah.
Strange name, but
yeah.
But Acuity has some better features that encourage me to them. Anyway, so that's the appointment funnel. We actually have a hiring funnel we just built, so that allows us to streamline the process for interviewing candidates or screening the candidates and then moving them through the first interview and then to the second interview, which is where I get involved. So yeah, it's a magic what you can do with if you know automation and you've got a nice looking website to marry that up with all the automation.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your website. So, I mean, you do constantly update it, which is excellent. Some people just leave their website forever. You see it as an investment tool. It is an asset. And so how do you use your website to attract and convert new leads?
Yeah, well, first of all, I totally agree with you. It is like a website's like a living entity. A website's never finished.
Yeah.
Right? It's like another expression. A website is something, this is a quote I heard very early on in the days of the web, and it's really stuck with me. A website is something you do, not something you view.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, take action. Yeah.
I took that to heart. I really wanted my website and any website that I built to be an interactive experience, not just a passive set of pages to consume or view.
Yeah.
So that really shaped how I saw the web and how I created websites over the years. And I've created hundreds and hundreds of websites over the years. And you asked earlier, which I didn't answer that question earlier about like, what is my strategy around courses and online training and all that sort of stuff. Courses are a potential way to give your prospect a taste of how awesome you are and what kind of chops you have.
Yeah.
So I had one client buy my course on SEO auditing at full price and not a webinar only special or anything. So he spent I think it was $5,000 at the time. But with the understanding that he might end up working with me on a consulting basis, and then I would credit that $5,000 towards his first month's retainer of consulting. And that's exactly what he did.
Oh, that's perfect.
So he loved what he saw from the course. He wasn't going to implement it himself. He just wanted to hire somebody to do the audit for him, right? So it's like And that started the whole ball rolling towards not just an audit, but link building strategy, keyword strategy, YouTube strategy, and YouTube audit, and featured snippet strategy. We did so much work for this guy, fellow client of yours, in fact,
Oh,
numerologist.com.
there you go. Yeah, yeah. Excellent.
Yep.
Love Blair. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So the whole journey started with an online course, our big one, the SEO auditing, do-it-yourself SEO auditing course. But we've got 6 courses,
Yeah,
and these cover different topic areas. They're not just on SEO. There is one on keyword research, which is obviously very squarely in SEO, but we have one on conversion optimization called Conversion Mastery. We have one on social media marketing, one on authority building, and they're all tangentially related to SEO for sure, but they cover different topic areas because I didn't want to be pigeonholed into just being an SEO guy.
wow.
Right. That's why I have a book called Social E-commerce that is about social media marketing and not so much about SEO because, I'm not the SEO guy. I'm the digital marketing guy who understands very deeply how the web works and how to persuade people to take a positive action that will
Yeah,
help them
nice.
and you.
And so you have really a whole ecosystem from your high level, consulting, coaching to your courses to your book even, right? And so how do you like initially, and you're leading with value with amazing content. You have 2 podcasts, which are, one's SEO related and marketing related, and the other one's a totally different niche altogether, which is kind of a passion project, yeah, where you're helping people
Yeah.
optimize
Personal
themselves.
development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but in a really unique way. I love that podcast, Get Yourself Optimized. And I do listen to these both. I do. I love them. But so there's a lot
Yep.
there. So you obviously have different target markets as well. That some will want to just hire you at the high level. Some will want to do a course. How do you cater to all the different markets? Do you have lead magnets for each one of those different products in your ecosystem? How's it work?
What ended up being my best and biggest lead magnet is what you referred to already as my 1,000-page tome.
Yep.
I have it right. I have it
Yes.
right here because I end up giving a lot of these books away. O'Reilly gave me many, many, many copies. I worked out a special deal with them. So this retails at $50, $49.99
Yep.
on the back there. This 1,000-page book, The Art of SEO. So if I'm speaking at a conference, I'll bring maybe 150 pounds
Whoa.
of books with me. I don't know what that equates to the number of books, probably like 40 or something like that. It's a very heavy book. So I know the weight because I check that in. I'm a million
Yeah.
miler on United, so I get a certain amount of baggage for free. So I can max out like at 150 pounds of books, and plus my regular luggage that I bring. So I end up giving a lot of books away at each speaking gig. And when people are very grateful and they're also overwhelmed by it, and they're like,
Yeah.
I really don't want to read this. I mean, no offense. I mean, this is clearly the Bible, but can I
Yeah.
just hire you?
Nice.
Why, yes, you can.
Authority
This
piece.
becomes the most effective business card
Yeah,
that you
because
could
it
possibly
boosts your
imagine.
authority, right?
Yeah, it does 2 things simultaneously. Boost my authority. I'm really
Yeah.
the guy
Yeah.
who wrote the book on the topic. And secondly, it's so
Yes.
daunting for them that they don't even want to
Nice.
start.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to discourage them from starting. I do tell them start with chapter 7. It's not overly technical. It's all about content marketing and link building. It's a great starting point rather than start at chapter 1 and feel like you have to power through the whole book. Start with chapter 7. But then they don't want to read a 1,000-page
Yeah.
book and implement it. They just want to hire the guy who
That
wrote the
has the knowledge.
1,000-page book
Yeah.
or co-wrote
Yeah.
it.
Very smart.
And that works like a charm. It's really amazing. I have lots of other lead magnets that your team have developed, designed for me, and I and my team internally wrote checklists and worksheets and workbooks and things like that. Got one called the SEO Hiring Blueprint, so how to hire an SEO agency or in-house employee. It's got all sorts of tricks in there, like how to have trick questions in the interview process, how to have a riddle in your job advert that they have to solve in order to apply for the job. Lots of good stuff in there. I also have the SEO BS
I love that.
detector, which has all the trick questions to insert into
Yep.
the interview process so that they don't even realize that they're getting these trick questions, and if they don't answer the right answer. See, here's the problem: is you don't, as a non-SEO person, you don't know if you're getting
Mm,
snookered. So you get this cheat sheet that gives you all the only answers to these trick questions, and if they get them wrong, and they don't even realize that they're being put on the spot like this, that they get it wrong, you just politely escort them out the door at the
amazing.
end of the
Yeah.
interview. So that's another lead magnet. But yeah, they're all for different
Yeah.
target audiences. If you're looking to hire an SEO, then you're going to want that. If you're looking to, if you are an SEO looking to upskill and you want to kind of consume my courses and all that, then the SEO tools lead magnet
I
is a
love
better
that.
fit for you. So these are my
That's
favorite SEO
fantastic.
tools, and why, and not the
Yeah,
obvious
understood.
ones,
So different lead
right?
magnets
So
lead through different funnels depending on their need, essentially. And that's how, yeah, so you attract them with a lead magnet that's going to help solve their problem to eventually either want to work with you or, yeah, do one of your courses,
right.
essentially. Yeah, nice. You've had a lot of clients and customers, that have consumed your courses or you've done SEO consulting coaching for, that sort of thing. So what's the sort of one case study that you'd like to share from one of your customers and showing the results that you've got for them?
Yeah, so I actually recently added a case studies section to my website, including some case studies of these clients. So thank you for all the great design help with the case studies. So a typical case study has a problem, the solution, and the results. And you've got to have proof points. So you've got to have like screenshots and graphs going up and to the right and that sort of thing. And here's where the problem is: most clients are not real keen to share their results.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're concerned about their competitors. And some clients wouldn't even let me use their name, wouldn't even let me include them on my client list or mention that I worked with them. This is something that you negotiate, and also hit them up when they're on a high note, like when you just did something amazing for them, then ask them to be the case study or testimonial for your website or whatever. So
Right,
I'm
good
just going
tip.
to pick one from my website here. Give me a second. Because I already talked a little bit about numerologist.com, so I think I might use somebody different. Oh, another thing too that I think was a really smart innovation between the previous iteration of the website, which you guys also designed back in 2015, and the newest version that went live this year, is instead of having a testimonials section in the nav, I now have a results section, because people care about the results. They don't care about the quotes. They care about the results that you get for other people's websites, and thus extrapolating forward then to what's that likely to get me if I hire Stephan.
Sorry, you do have a lot of social proof, and I love that just as a single word that is more, yeah, showing the result as opposed to just how good is Stephan, right? But then
Yeah.
within there, you organize it beautifully where you have praise from thought leaders and case studies showing these amazing results, plus client testimonials and your client list, which is extensive. But it's just in a really neat, way of displaying that in a almost like a tab section when you land on that page.
Yes. What a beautiful design. I wonder who designed that. Yeah.
Which, yeah, I guess that's partly the role of the designer to, figure out, okay, what's your client? What have you got to work with? And when somebody like you that's like a world leader, you can guarantee you've got a lot of social proof. So, yeah, just trying to
And
figure it
as you
out and
work to
organize.
build that social proof out, and you don't realize it's kind of like it's a multi-headed monster that just keeps growing and growing.
Keeps growing.
So
Yeah.
with the 2015 design, which looked beautiful, I was really, really happy with that you guys did. As I added more and more testimonials, that page got ridiculously long.
Frankenstein page.
And then it became unwieldy and not easily consumed. So now we're back to having something that is easy to browse and quickly scan through. It's not overwhelming, and there's these load more buttons so that put your very best praise quotes and videos in the viewed up by default section, and then all the other ones in the load more.
Yeah.
And
And you do
then
something really smart with that. You highlight, because there's a lot, it's overwhelming, there's so much, but you highlight things that you want people to read in yellow, which is really clever.
Yeah, so I learned that, I forget where I learned this from. It was years and years ago, that it's kind of a little secret weapon to getting people to connect with your story, is to highlight the bits of the testimonials that you want them to read, because there's no guarantee they're going to read any of it other than maybe the highlighted bits. And then you organize those testimonials so that if all they read are the highlighted bits, it tells a story. It's not random order. It really takes them on a story arc, and that works like gangbusters. It really does help. Also, if you have videos, then that's the best kind of testimonial, because that's not easily faked. On the worst end of the spectrum is the stuff that's like, wow, this was an incredible thing that you did for me, Stephan. Signed Bill W. from Dubuque, Iowa. Like, is that even a real person? With no headshot or anything. So every testimonial has a headshot, has their full name, has their title, has their company, and whenever possible, I get videos, and then I get the video transcribed, because a lot of times people don't watch the video, but they do feel comfort because they saw there is a video there, they just didn't watch it, and then the whole transcript is there with the yellow highlighted bits to focus them in on just the important bits that I want them to get.
Yeah, that's really smart, man. There's no doubt. And your entire website is designed with the same sort of approach, where you've got a lot to offer, but when it needs to be organized in a way that's not so overwhelming and people can quickly scan, because you want to respect people's time. And I think your new website does that beautifully. It showcases your authority, it leads with value, it backs up what you do with social proof, and there's a clear path to make it easy for people to, for you to help people essentially when they're ready.
Yeah, thank you. I've figured out which case study I want to walk you through if you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Because I've got so many great ones. It's really hard to choose. It's so hard because I got multiple of these clients, like 500 and something % increase in their organic traffic. And
do that one, digital trends. Yeah.
Well, that's not just digital trends. I did it for do.com. I also did it for numerologist.com.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know.
Yeah. Crazy. How long does it take to get that sort of result?
Well, in those cases, it was about 12 months. But SEO takes, so they say, like even Google engineers say it's at least 4 months to a year from implementation. So you do an audit, you do a link building strategy or keyword strategy or whatever. That's a big strategic deliverable, but you haven't implemented it yet. The clock hasn't started running yet. Yeah, so hire me for an audit. Takes me 6 weeks to produce that, and then I deliver that, and then the clock starts once you are implementing it.
Wow, right? It's a slow process, isn't
it? It is, but it's a worthwhile process. It's one that you've got to be in it for the long haul. Whereas with Google ads or Facebook ads, you can start making money quick, but you're not building a long-term asset in the way that you are with SEO. Like if I were to stop link building for 6 months and take another sabbatical, the business would still keep generating leads, because the SEO would still be, it would still generate leads because of lots of reasons. But the link building side of it would still keep going, because there's links out there that people aren't removing. They're just sitting there on people's blogs, and you have contributed to an asset that just makes money for you month after month.
Yeah, and you turn ads off and that's it, you're gone. But this has longevity. Yeah. So let's say if you do work with a client for 12 months and you get them a 500% increase, if you stop working with them, how long does it take for that to slowly die down, or does it stay there for a while?
It depends on what they've implemented and what they haven't.
Right.
So I've had clients who have stayed up there for a long period of time, but they've developed their own in-house team. I remember working with CNET, and I really helped them, but they had a staff of 30 people just on their SEO team.
Wow.
So they didn't need me ongoing. It was for, I think, a year-long contract or something. But then the head of SEO at CNET ended up referring digital trends to me. So that's how it works, is like they move on to other roles or other companies, and then the previous competitor to them is no longer a competitor, and then they refer you. So assuming that you did a good job for them.
Yeah, it's a small world. People do move around. So yeah, pays to network and do a good job. That's excellent.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. And so with your new website, look, what sort of success metrics have you got, from your website since the new one went live?
Yeah. So success metrics are really important to me because I want not just anecdotal evidence that something's working. I'm a scientist at heart, right? I want to figure out what's working and not working and get very granular about it. One of my favorite quotes from Peter Drucker is, "What gets measured gets managed." So how do I measure success with my website, with my design, with my marketing initiatives and so forth? Well, I'm looking for leads, obviously. I'm also looking at traffic, but that's not nearly as important because I could have a very small amount of traffic, but it's the right traffic. It's
Yeah.
CMOs or VPs of marketing or conference organizers, conference producers that are going to hire me to do a keynote. Like, it doesn't take very many of them, and my website is far and away paid for, right? So
Yeah.
all the investments that I've made in web design with you, and I've had you design, or your team design, I don't know how many sites now for me personally, for like
5, 6.
more than that,
Is it?
for sure.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah. Let's see. It's besides stephanspencer.com. There's also getyourselfoptimized.com. There's passionsintoprofits.com.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Trafficcontrol.co, artofseo.com for the book website. We're already at 6. My wife's website, orionsmethod.com. I'm sure there's several more. So anyways,
Yeah.
you guys do a gangbuster job on the web design, and it's not just about design, it's about conversion. It's about getting an outcome. It's outcome focused design, right?
Yeah, and it is indeed, and it's because you have that authority, and so we need to showcase your authority, right? And so by doing that, even though it's a small amount of traffic that potentially is all you need to come to your website, when they see your authority immediately, that you've worked with these amazing clients and you get really good results for them, does that entice them? Like, have you had an increase in inquiries since the new website went live, for instance?
Well, certainly since I switched from the previous, like 2014 and earlier design to using you,
Yep.
I saw an increase in inquiries. I also see that with the addition of the appointment funnels and the automation and so forth, and going from a more kind of basic contact us page to something that's much more sophisticated, that addresses objections, and like I learned a lot from Marcus Sheridan about answering questions that your prospects have and not trying to be all cagey about how much it costs to work with you and stuff like that. I still don't have a price list on my website, but at least I address questions around how much does it cost to hire Stephan, all the kinds of questions relating to working with me and the scope and all that. I address all that. So that's on the new iteration of the website. So it's really hard to say what.
Yeah. Well, has
like,
that increased the quality of leads? Has it increased the quality of leads?
For sure.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
The number of leads have increased since working with your design. The quality of the leads, and also I get more serious inquiries about,
because you're relying on external sources like your clients to produce quality content from that point as well, right?
It's certainly that I'm reliant on them to do a lot of the heavy lifting as well. They've got to have great products and great prices and everything in order for the end conversions to happen. But in addition, they need to trust that there are things that are going to happen that wouldn't have happened if they hadn't hired me.
Yeah.
Like, for example, they might get more interactions with their social media, or they might get more effectiveness of their offline media, like the print ads and the billboards and so forth will be more effective because they have great SEO. And how do you associate that with my work? It's really, really hard.
It is. But the way I see it is you are willing to, and you see the value of investing in your brand and constantly ratcheting up your profile and just making your online presence, boost your authority to the level that it is. But people don't know that if your website sucks, right?
Right, right. And there's a distinction I want to make too about boosting your authority. There's kind of a ceiling in your authority. Like once you got published in HBR, for example, you get all these great kudos, but
Hmm.
there's something about being a celebrity that takes you to another level. There's another
Yeah.
tier above authority, and that's a celebrity. So hiring like a celebrity doctor to do your surgery on you is a lot different than hiring an authority doctor. Like, so the
Mm.
doctor who published all these papers is great. You certainly want him or her, but the celebrity doctor that keeps getting invited on, I don't know, Dr. Oz show or the
Yeah.
doctor's TV show or Oprah or something like that, that's probably the doctor that you're going to end up hiring, because if Oprah trusts this doctor to keep having him or her on the show, then that person's probably good enough for me too. So
Do
getting
you
that
want to?
celebrity status, like
Do you want
getting,
that celebrity status? Do you want that yourself?
I do, yeah, not for ego purposes, but to help further my message and make a
Ah,
positive impact on the world.
gotcha. Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
that's why I've gotten like 13, 14 different TV appearances. And they're not just about SEO. In fact, most of them are not about SEO.
They're about geek things, aren't they?
Well, yeah, because my podcast, Get Yourself Optimized, started as The Optimized Geek. That was the name of the show. So I have
Mhm.
some geek-related TV appearances, but I also have ones on foster care. You might think, foster care? Well, why foster care? Well, it's because I was a foster child when I
Yeah.
was growing up for a few years in high school. And this isn't something I was very public about, not at all. But then I realized I could make a difference in the world by dispelling some myths about foster kids and the foster care system. There's a lot of
Awesome.
misinformation out there, and so I could dispel some of those myths and also increase awareness about the need for foster parents, and even if you don't want to be a foster parent, what can you do to help foster kids? So I have like 5 TV appearances about foster care and foster kids. And how does that help my business? Well, in a roundabout way, I can use little snippets from those TV appearances on marketing collateral. I can use that in my sizzle reel or my speaker reel, or I can
Mm.
use it as like on my Xenon logos. If I had a TV appearance on an ABC affiliate and it was about foster care, why can't I put that on as seen on ABC? So it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be about SEO. In fact, most TV networks would be not very interested in having you on to talk about SEO,
Talk
because
about
that's not
SEO. Yeah.
general interest. They want stuff that
Yeah, I see.
is good
Yeah.
is going to be good TV. So think about like elevating your status beyond just the authority to a celebrity status, or doing celebrity attachment. So attaching yourself to other celebrities. Whenever you're in a green room hanging out waiting to be on TV and you see some big name celebrity, say, hey, can we get a quick selfie?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's smart. That's really smart. Yeah, so you're using celebrity and trying to boost your celebrity status by using others, but also doing unrelated things, because that's like you said, nobody cares about SEO in the general public. And so, is that part of your plan moving forward to boost your celebrity status, or I mean, what's in store for you for, let's say, the next couple of years in business and personally?
Yeah. So it's part of my bigger mission is to have a New York Times best-selling self-help book, to have appearance on Good Morning America or the Today Show or both, and to talk about that New York Times bestseller on the segment, and to sell lots of copies of the book and change lots of people's lives. Yeah.
That is awesome, man. Well, Stefan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this super long interview. I hope the listeners and viewers, I should say, got a ton of value out of it. So before we go, I just want to sort of, in relation to your website and business, like what's some advice you would give to somebody that wants to, take their website and business to the next level?
Well, first of all, hire Studio One. You guys are awesome. I keep telling you and others that the Studio One is one of my secret weapons.
You do.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, I've referred many clients to you. If you think about conversion focused design, that's think of it like you're taking that prospect on a journey, and whether or not they become a client or not is immaterial, really, because I believe in this concept of preeminence that Jay Abraham teaches, where if your prospect is better off, if they're served better by being sent to your competitor, you should do that. I believe in business karma, that what you give comes back to you. And if you are all about the other person and serving them, delivering value for them, helping them, but not in a way that you're just giving them everything like you're a doormat sort of thing, but you're just genuinely, you care about their outcome and their future, then everything tends to work out. So that's my biggest bit of advice, I guess. It would be kind of a spiritual way of framing web development and design and marketing, is to see this as a spiritual game, and one where you're just going to give and deliver value and create light in the world, and everything will work itself out.
I couldn't agree more. That's my golden rule in life. What you put in is what you get out. It's all based on karma principles for sure. So, well, Stefan, it's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you. Thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate it.
You bet. It was a pleasure for me as well.
Thank you. Take care.